In this video, I'm going to give you a bunch of tips and tricks for Schedule 1 that's going to make the game way better and solve a lot of problems that you may or may not encounter when playing the game. So I've beaten the game, I've unlocked all the customers, I've done everything there is to do in this game, so with all that in mind, that's where I'm coming from this. I know pretty much everything there is to know about this game. The first tip is the most important tip. You see here it says 4 a.m. If you didn't know this, the game will pause at 4 a.m. So you don't worry about staying up late. If you've fallen behind on stuff, say you have tons of plants that you need to harvest or things you need to process, you can just wait at 4 a.m. and get it all done. Just keep in mind that as of right now on launch, on the patch we're playing on right now, plants do not grow at 4 a.m. Time pauses for everything basically, but things like lab ovens, cauldrons, making meth, all that stuff, those types of things that are like actually like, 6 hours to process, those things tend to actually work. So second tip here, you could actually just sit here and make meth all night long to catch up if you really wanted to go that route. The next tip is if you don't feel like you can keep up with everybody or it's stressing you out, you can actually just turn off. Two ways to do this. You can ignore their text messages and it will not make them hate you more. Their relationship will not change if you completely ignore their text messages. And then the other thing you can do is you can go to your products and you can just find the products that you have and delist them all and they'll stop texting you and you don't have to worry. So if for some reason you just want a break, you can do that. It's not going to affect your relationship or any of that. You can ignore the text messages. It's not going to affect your relationship with them, at least right now, the current patch. So here's another tip for you. When you give your dealers supplies, the more valuable the individual things are that you give them, the more money they tend to make per day. So if you just give them like baggies of weed, they're only going to make like a few hundred a day, maybe 1,000. But if you give them like the most expensive cocaine in the entire game, that's 700 each, and it's in a jar or in a brick or something, then they tend to make way more money. And, you know, with the cocaine that's just worth like 420 each inside of a jar, which is a total of like 2,000 per jar, then it just makes them make more money per day. And they'll make like 5,000 a day, 7,000 a day, or whatever, you know, more money. The next tip is once you get your businesses and you can start laundering money, and this probably won't be this way forever. It might get patched out eventually. But these times will keep going at 4 in the morning. So if you actually are like going to step away from the game, you can just go inside of one of your buildings and just let the game play. And once it's 4 a.m. and it pauses time, the time will keep going and it'll let you launder all your money ahead of time. And if you really were going to AFK a lot, you literally could go to all your businesses, launder money, go to place, go AFK, come back to your game in like 20 minutes or whatever. Go to all the businesses, launder again, and get as much laundered in a single day as you want it. If whichever way you want to play with that, you can, but I just wanted to give you that tip that you can, you know, use that. So for vehicles, in my opinion, at least right now in the game, the vehicles are not really worth it. They're more of a play thing. So all the vehicles basically have storage, and I think the van has the most. I don't remember. But even then, it's generally like just not worth it. Like what you could drive to the gas station and then get more supplies and load. The one use case is you use the van, you go to the gas stations, and then you go to your place and go back and forth all day and then load up a bunch of shelves with all the mixing ingredients that you need. That's like the one use case. Or you would just keep using deliveries, and deliveries you can go in here and be like 80 of this, whatever, you know, and go to the barn and pick your loading dock and just buy, and then every 6 hours do it again and again and again. And that'll always keep up with any demand that you have. So it makes vehicles pointless. But yeah, if you were going to, you can just load up at the gas stations over and over and over again with the van or something like that. Or the cheetah's kind of just, you know, for the heck of it, just style basically. It's not really good. Which brings me to the other tip, and this is probably the most important tip if you don't know this one. In place of vehicles right now in the game, at least what's way better is a skateboard. So you go here. This is over here on the map, top left, right here. And there's this, the Shred Shack. And I recommend as early as possible getting either the lightweight board or the cruiser. And then once you have enough money, get the golden skateboard. The golden skateboard is basically faster than any of the vehicles. You can see here how fast this thing is. And it actually has, at least right now in the game, infinite acceleration. So if you have a long enough distance to go, you'll eventually be traveling like 4 times as fast as you see me going here. And it's just insane for getting across town. So you don't need the vehicles just for traveling. That's what the golden skateboard is for. The next tip is for the apartment / the sweatshop, which is located right here at the Chinese restaurant. Okay, so this is going to be the first property that most of you are going to end up getting. Really important tip here is once you get employees unlocked, you can actually get an employee here. And if you do, I highly recommend getting a botanist. So what you can do with a botanist is have them just grow a bunch of weed. And then what you do is whenever you need more weed or cocoa later on, you can just go here and grab it all and go take it to your other business to basically catch up to demand. Or depending on which stage of the game you're in, it's just there's the weed. Then you just go take it to the hotel, have all your stuff in the hotel, and just do it there. Or you can watch my video on how I did this in perfect like setup. Well, I don't have it on this save file, but I did a perfect setup here that had everything in here. It had mixing stations, packaging stations, and everything you need to do it all in one. So you go check out that video if you want. But yeah, getting a botanist in this building is like the best thing you can possibly do in the early to mid game in Schedule 1. The next tip is once you get to the mid to late game, the motel is actually useful in another way. So the motel right here, your first room you ever got. Later on, I recommend making sure you have a bed in here and a bunch of storage racks because it's a very convenient place to be able to rest and just like not have to go all the way back to one of your other properties. It's just a nice centralized point that's actually really convenient for sleeping, saving, and just grabbing things and collecting things. Another tip that I have for you is if you're being chased by the cops, one of the easiest ways to get away from them is just lose them a little bit near one of your properties, and as soon as the bar starts ticking down, you can just go into one of your houses, one of your properties, business or property, like yeah, either business or I don't know if they can chase you into the laundromats and stuff actually. But I know for your properties, your business or whatever, you can, well, I know I'm getting this mixed up. For the properties where you actually grow stuff and have employees, you go to one of these, they can't follow you in here. So if you just get into here when that bar starts ticking down, you're good. You just wait it out. And then once it's done, you can head out. And even if they're right there, you're good then. So that's the easiest way to get away from the cops. Random tip here, when paying your employees or moving items around, you can hold left shift and then right click or left click. So right click, you can put in $100 at a time. And if you shift left click, it'll put in $1,000 at a time. And so you can do the same thing for moving either way. That way you don't have to drag them up like this. Also, when you drag these up, if you're holding it with left, you can just left click hold and then scroll wheel in order to change the amount that you want to give them. That's another way you can give an exact amount that you want to give. So you know these sprinklers, and there's also soil dispensers. As far as I can tell, the botanist employees don't actually use them. The botanist employees will just use a watering can. So whenever you're using employees and automation, you don't actually need these sprinklers. This is only when you are growing things for convenience for you. As far as I'm aware, I could be wrong on that, but that's when I looked at them and watched them. That's what it looks like to me. So yeah, to save space, don't use these when using automation and botanists. So a tip when trying to get new customers, once you unlock different customers, different places, you give them a free sample. And they'll actually tell you what their favorite effects are. And so you can just go and take some weed or cocaine or whatever, depending on what stage of the game you're at, and just manually mix these. You can go and take one and take each of the ingredients from the gas station and mix them one by one with different, weed or whatever to see which one gives which effect. And then it's only really if you're having trouble with these people. This is much more of a thing at the very end game like I'm at. These are like the last customers to get right now. Because like this right now, I can give them the best thing I got, 64% chance. A lot of these things are real low. So you can make a custom one if you're having trouble with one of these guys. But generally, if you have something really good, like some good cocaine or something like that, it'll generally work. And honestly, what I recommend, as long as you have something that's like greater than 40% chance of success, in my mind, just for peace of mind and simplicity, it's just easier just to have the 64 or 40% chance and just give it to them every day till they accept it. Like, it's just, in my opinion, it's just not worth the hassle of going and manually making it for each person. But if you are really having trouble with somebody and you can't get it, you can do that, and that's how you get them. So the next tip is about the stuff that was added in the last patch. So there's the pawn shop and the jewelry store. So the jewelry store is down here, okay, right next to Ray's Realty. And in here is Herbert, and what you can do here is you can convert your online balance into either silver chains, gold chains, or gold bars. I think the watches might do it too, and maybe these wines, I don't know. I know the silver chain, gold bar all work though. And what you can do is you can convert your online balance back into items, which then you can sell for money. And it's not just to get your money back into cash, which would be just stupid. You almost never need to do that. It's because there's an exploit you can do right now to make crazy money by investing. So, like, say right now I have 30,000 in the online. I'm going to go ahead and buy 3 more of these gold bars. This is a mid to late game thing, by the way. I'm just going to let you know right now. But you could do this at any point if you feel like you have money just sitting around and you just want to invest it and get more money. So buy 3 gold bars. They're 10,000 each. And then you head over to the new pawn shop, which is all the way at the top left next to the motel. It's right here. And you can go into the pawn shop, and if the guy's not here, there's a glitch right now. If this happens, you just need to save and reload your game. And then he'll be here, or he was already here. So we go here, we talk to him. I'd like to sell something. So you can just put in 1 gold bar, and for example, or the gold chain or whatever, and they all follow the same price scheme here. So he'll offer about half of what I paid all the way up to almost double what I paid. So what happens is it's based on the day. And so depending on which way you want to do this and how quickly you need your money back, you can just hold the bars until you get a day where he offers a lot more. So today he's offering 12,600. I would make 25% profit on my investment already. Also, I can haggle with him though, and he has a temper and all this. But ideally, I'd wait for a day that he goes even. I don't know if he does. I've never taken the time to really see how high he can go. If he really can do the 18,000, but I've seen 12,600 twice. So, but either way, once you get this, he has a temper, and you can haggle with him. So let me cancel that. Let's put all the gold bars up. So he's going to offer me the same ratio here. But then I can say, how about 55,000? Okay, counter offer. Be sure to hit enter before hitting counter. He's going to say, no, he wants, 40,000. It's going to raise his temper because I offered too high. So let's try like 44,000. Counter. And he'll say, fine. And then right there, 3 gold bars. I just invested 30,000 of my online balance in order to get, what is that, an extra 14,000 in cash. So, you have to launder money over and over again in order to do it. But if you have that online balance and you're not in any rush to use it for anything, you can convert to gold bars, which will then let you convert it back to cash. So you have an infinite amount of money to keep putting back into the laundromat and laundering and all that. And repeat that forever for infinite money in the long term. This is mid to late game probably the best time to do that kind of thing. When buying an end game property, your choices are going to be the docks, warehouse, which is over here, or the barnyard, which is over here. Just the barn, not barnyard, the barn. Generally, the docks is better, but it costs 50,000, where the barn is 25,000. And they basically offer the same thing. They both have 10 employees. They both have plenty of space, and both have their pros and cons. If you're in the mid game, the barn is better just because you can get it faster because it costs less money, and then you can get started on some super automated setup, and then have infinite money because you just have so much supply coming in, whatever. But then in the end game, the docks is better because of location. You can take concrete the whole way, so you can take the skateboard where the barn has this like path here that's no concrete. It takes forever to go on because it slows you down on the skateboard, and then getting out takes a little while, and you're just way off on the side of the map. That's the downside of the barn. The upside of the barn is it has more space in the entrance. You see here because of the stairs. I don't know if I never actually calculated the squares here, so I might be wrong on this. But the docks generally is better late game just because the location and it's concrete the whole way. You can just get to it and out of it faster. But the difference is negligible. That's the main point I'm making here. So in your mid game, if you're like, well, maybe I'll just save my money, skip the barn, and go straight for the docks, which I did the first time I played, not worth it. You just get the barn. You just need that mass production, so that way you don't have to deal with getting supply anymore. So I highly recommend just getting the barn before getting the docks. And the docks is more of a luxury for the end game. Another tip that I have is that, in my opinion, at least right now, making meth is like not super worth it because you don't level up faster by getting more money. So you might as well go straight to cocaine by leveling, which I'll talk about in a second. It's better just to mass produce weed and just have it be simple and just put it in jars and make just, in my opinion, the simplest way to get to the end game was just mixing Granddaddy Purple with Viagra to get weed that's worth 60 each. And then putting it in jars and just having the bungalow and just setting it up to mass produce this. And then you'd have more than anything you need. You give to all your dealers. They're fully supplied with jars of it. And then you have enough to just run around trading to everybody all day. And then you're good. And that will level you up the fastest because it's interactions that level you and not money. And then once you get the cocaine, that's when you just set up a super factory with the cocaine because it's worth more than the meth. That's kind of my opinion, but if you want to play the game just to play the game, I mean, you can go to the meth. It's just, I feel like it's kind of in this weird spot where it's like not really worth doing. It's kind of more worth it just to skip it. The next tip is if you're trying to level up faster during the day, you can go talk to people, and during the night, you can talk to customers you've already unlocked and say, hey, do you want to buy something? And you can offer them deals in order to make more money, or instead of making more money, you can also do it just to level up faster. So you get the XP based on the interaction. So if I sell him this versus if I can sell him 4 of these, I'll get the same XP for doing this. So it's up to you. If you want more money, my recommendation is to give them jars of whatever, like weed or whatever, until you get the lowest possible chance of success, and then just go for it. Because the math lines up to where you'll get more money by just having, I don't know how to explain it, but the ratio is you have a 71% chance, but then you'll get, you know, twice as much money as an 80% chance. You know, and so it just works out. It's one of those situations where in most of the cases, the math is better that way, and then you don't have to think. You just, everyone you go, get the max you can, or you shift right click a bunch, put them on, shift right click one to remove one, get max price, and if he doesn't take it, doesn't take it, they take it, move on to the next guy. If you're trying to level up though, you just want to get the 100% chance no matter what. So another tip around that, so the cooldown for selling people things is based on like real life time, so it's in-game time, but when it's 4 a.m. it doesn't pause. So you could theoretically run around at 4 a.m. knocking on doors trying to find people who are awake and selling them stuff every 6 in-game hours, maybe it's 8 in-game hours, something like that, forever. But also during the day, if you're fast about it, you can start the day strong. If she's already dealing with one of my dealers, but you can start the day strong running around trading with people. And then at night, or not at night, then like by the end of the day, they're all ready to trade again. And you can, okay, of course, both people I looked at I've already dealt with, but you can trade them all in the morning and then trade them all again in the afternoon, evening. And then if you're up all the way till 4 a.m., you can trade them again at 4 a.m. and get 3 trades in for a lot of your customers, you know, in the same day. Also on that same thing, the reason these customers are, I can't trade with them is you can't trade with the customer if your dealer has traded with them recently. But that dealer has the same cooldown. So this guy right now, he has a pending offer. Well, actually, he's a pending offer right now for me for this. So actually, it's because this guy in particular, it's because he's in here. But there are times where they'll deal with your dealer. That one will have the same cooldown as if I trade with them. So you'll also just have to wait like 8 hours or something, and then you can offer them a deal again. And then another tip about dealing this is your customers have the same amount of money no matter what. So you see here, I can put in 3 of these for $660, and there's a chance of success. If I put in this, which is worth $2,385, this person's not going to take it no matter what. You know, I put the price down, they're not going to take it. But you'll see if I go to 600, oh, actually, even if I go to 600, they don't take it. So actually, it also depends on the thing, come to think of it. So like some of them don't like cocaine, some do, and different things. But generally, just because something's worth more, it does not mean that they're going to take it. They literally have a limited amount of money that they're willing to spend no matter what. Okay. And on that note, another tip is that I've noticed as the game goes on, the amount of money everybody has slowly goes up. So once you get on and on in days, like it's been 100 in-game days or something, people who used to only have enough money to buy like $100 of product will suddenly have enough money to be able to buy like $1,000 of product. So as you play, you'll be able to make more money over time just by the nature of the customers having more money. Now, most of you probably already know this unless you're really new, but and most of you figure this out eventually. When you buy seeds for weed or cocoa or something like that, after doing enough dead drops, they'll eventually give you an option to just meet up with them and just buy as much as you need. So, I mean, everyone kind of figures that out eventually, but for anyone who's really new watching this, I just want you to know that if you're like, man, this is so annoying, just suck it up and just buy dead drops over and over and over and over again. Eventually, they'll like you enough, and they'll want to be able to meet up with you and get as much as you want. So once you get later on in the game, you can go into the warehouse over here. This is also where you get employees, by the way, which is up here. Talk to that guy. And also you can get some of the materials over there. So the warehouse is pretty cool. You'll figure it out eventually. The main story leads you here, but there's this guy here. He sells weapons, and once you get really late game, one of the coolest things you can do is you can buy a gun. So we're gonna buy this M1911, and what is really nice about this, if you feel like carrying one, it just depends on which way you're playing your game, because it uses a lot of inventory space in order to carry it, because I got to use a spot for the gun, and I've got to use a spot for each additional magazine. So it's not like you carry a bunch of ammo. It's like ammo uses a lot of space. But the reason that you could consider having a gun is it has no crosshair, by the way. But if you're being chased by the police, you can actually just kill the police. Like that. And then if you do it without getting caught, they'll just investigate and you won't even be wanted. So you can just get the hell out of there, basically. So if you ever get the police on you and you actually would rather just run away, or instead of running away from them, you just want to shoot them all, you can do that. You can actually do that. I read someone said it gives you XP, and I tested it, and it didn't seem like it did, or if it did, it's not enough to really be worth the hassle. But that's a thing, and they respawn the next day. But you can definitely defend yourself against them with a gun, which is really, really interesting. I wouldn't recommend doing the melee weapon because they can tase you. But, oh, okay, well, that's great. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend the melee weapon because they can tase you. But yeah, you can definitely defend yourself with a gun. So this last tip, I'm not really going to show this. I kind of want to mention it because I'm just throwing so many things at you anyway. You can actually basically just cheat in this game if you want to. You can go to, if you're on Windows, you can go to App Data, Local Low, TVG. It's called TVGS, okay? And that's where the folder is for your save files and things. You can go in there, and there's like a notepad file, a JSON file. It's called .json. You can open it up, and it has a bunch of stuff in there, like how much money you have and what businesses you have unlocked. And you can go screw around with that. It might mess your save up, though. I haven't really played with it too much. I just know it's there. Pretty sure you can mess with that, though, and change things. I'm not sure if it cloud syncs or not. You could try it, though, if you're into just hardcore cheating in this game. But again, I don't know if it actually works like that or not. I don't know, but something to play with. It's there. I just want to bring your attention to it, basically, that it exists. And another tip is make sure you know how employees work. If you need help with that, I have an employees guide on this YouTube. Other people do. You can look it up on YouTube and look up. If you don't want to watch mine, you can watch anybody's employees guide. And learn how to use them. They each need a bed. They have stations you can assign them to. You get a clipboard when you get your first employee, and you go up to them and you manage handler. The most complicated one to use is the handler. So right here he has routes. I'll add a new one, for example. You just got to pick where things are going from. So say I want to go from here that has weed and put it on the mixing station. What that'll do is make it so whenever there's weed there and there's not weed over here, the employee will come in, grab some, and put it on the mixing station. Same thing for if like Viagra or batteries or some mixing ingredient are in here. If there's no mixing ingredient here, but there are on here, and I have that route, they'll go and they'll put it here. Also on that same note, these the stations, you don't need a route for those because you go to them and interact with them, whatever, with the clipboard out, and it'll have their destination. And so whoever's using it, in the case of mixing station is the chemist will actually carry it away to its destination. So the handler doesn't need to move from a station. They just need to bring things to stations. So, they take it to say here, and then from there I'd have a route from there to the packaging station, or it would be smarter, would be for me to take it straight from the mixing station straight to a packaging station. But if you have two packaging stations, and depending on the way your demand is, if you're getting too many and not enough from one packaging station can't process it all, then maybe a shelf and then have routes. It just depends on which way you want to chalk it up. And then for the botanist, you go to these pots, you manage them, they have their destination, you can restrict things. I almost never do. It's just, and then the botanists, you go to them and you pick the pots, drying racks, whatever, and you can pick where their supplies are. You pick what rack they get their soil from and their seeds from and stuff like that. And make sure you know how to do that. Chemists, it's literally just give them stations, and they do lab ovens, chemistry stations, mixing stations, cauldrons, and super nice. They're super critical in order to actually make money. I would say that all three of these, the cleaner's not really implemented yet. That's another tip. The cleaner exists, but the game has no consequences for not cleaning up your mess. So I don't know, maybe eventually it'll catch fire or something, but right now I've never seen any consequence for not cleaning up any mess you leave behind. Another tip for the early game and even late game, just in general, this one helped me so much in the early game. If you start getting a lot of these text messages and you don't know how to handle them all and you like miss them and stuff, what you can do is you click on these, say deal, and just set every single one of them to late night. And what that will do is time pauses at 4 a.m. And so what'll happen is you'll be at 4 a.m. and you'll have like say 25 or 30 of these people to deal with, depending on what point in the game you are and how you're using your dealers and all that. And then because time pauses, you have all the time in the world to be able to go and get to them. Now, the catch to that is you got to watch out for the cops. But if you're out at 4 a.m., literally the only cops out are the ones right here guarding this one little area. And all you got to do is go around them, like, over by the supermarket and parking garage, or literally run right behind them. They literally don't see if you're point blank behind them, which is another tip. But yeah, you can set them all up at night and then be able to do that. And then the other benefit to that is that you actually get a bonus amount of money when dealing with them if you do it after curfew. So it's a win-win. You can just do them all at night at that time, and then you'll also be able to get bonus curfew reward as well. So that's another really good tip. Another tip is you can actually use your own product. If it's in a baggie or not bagged at all, you can just left click and hold, and it'll bring up a thing and you'll smoke it. And depending on what the effects they have, it'll actually affect you different ways. There's one of these that gives you moon gravity. There's like basically makes you jump and just like hang in the air really high, jump really high and hang in the air and stuff. So there's a bunch of different effects like that you can do. So you can play around with that. That's a fun thing to just figure out and play around with. Another thing is, and I didn't even know this existed for the longest time in this game. If you get up behind someone, I don't know if Yeah, you have to crouch in order to crouch behind someone. There's actually a pickpocket option. And there's a mini game where all you have to do is press space when the arrow's right on one of the green areas. And then you can steal whatever they have on them. And if you get caught, they'll try to fight you, though. And you have to run away or beat them up. And it probably affects your reputation with them if you get caught. I haven't tested a whole bunch. But pickpocketing exists, and I thought that was pretty cool. I literally didn't know that for the longest time playing this game. Another thing is the casino is a thing in this. If you might not have even noticed it. So there's a casino right here, and you can actually play the games in here. They have blackjack, and they have ride the bus, and slots. And yes, you totally could make money doing that. The money's pretty terrible, though, so I wouldn't recommend doing it, honestly, from my experience with it, at least. But if you want to play them just for fun, they are here, and you definitely can check them out. And, well, that really about wraps it up. I can't really think of much else, man. I don't know. I played this game, beat this game, done everything in this game, and that was everything I could think of. I probably missed something that I could have helped you out or given you a tip on or something, but those are the best ones I know from playing the game for way too long. But yeah, hopefully it helped you out, guys. Those are my tips and tricks for Schedule 1.